You got it locked into New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1, New York.
This program is intended for mature audiences only. If you have any homicidal or suicidal feelings, please consult a doctor before listening to this program.
Well, welcome to Real Talk. And I was anticipating my big kickin' movie theme, but I guess
your movie theme's coming up. This is the segue to the movie theme.
I know, and I just can't get used to them. But I guess I will after a while. It's new after all. Moving forward into a new year, new things. I'm going to have to learn to adapt and go with the flow. But this is Real Talk, and I am your host, this intellectual Kate Taylor, and this is HTLA Radio 1 New York.
Oh, yeah. And be sure to check out all the wholesome goodness at HTLA Radio 1 by going to HTLAradio1.com and get smacked in the face with some Christmas cheer now.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we got a hell of a good show lined up for tonight. It's, of course, the Sons of Anarchy wrap-up show from the HTLA perspective, and we'd like to welcome everybody to the show tonight.
Right. And it's a little more than just a Sons of Anarchy kind of wrap-up show. I mean, if you were in our living room last night, well, it was a bad scene. It really was a bad scene. And we'll get into why that is after all these years of watching this show and waiting and being so enveloped and wrapped into the characters and the story and things like that, as much as can be possible anyway. But we'll talk about some other things that gripe me, like Walking Dead's mid-season hiatus and Game of Thrones and where the heck did it go? And
well, we'll get to all that in just a few moments, gang.
Right.
Hold on to your butts.
HTLA Radio 1.
I just love that. I can just listen to it and just forget I'm even working. Just listen to it and get into it. I just love that so much. We headbang when that comes on. It's really cool. So, and even our son, 2-year-old, Tristan, he moshes. He got the whole mosh stance down. Right? It's so cool. We'll have to video that and put that up on the site. So cute.
He's quite the little rocker, that dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is Real Talk. And if you love film, if you live film, then this is the film show for you. But not tonight, because tonight is a very special, well, we're kind of giving it a try, too. We're going to deviate a bit. It's Real TV Talk tonight.
Oh, yeah?
And we're doing our SOA, son of a, because that's all we were saying last night at the finale. It was just OMG. You know, there's so many little, what are they called when you abbreviate anagram? What the heck do you call them? I can't remember now. You know. When,
conjunctions.
No, junction. No, remember that? Yes, but anyway, no. But there's so many, OMG, SOA, and just so many of those things. Right. And there's going to be a lot more. So we're going to give it a whirl, and we're going to take that, you know, style that I have here for film analyses in my Real Talk show, and we're going to apply it to some real TV talk, because it's all about the TV at this time of the year.
There
right?
you go, yeah.
And, yeah, just devastation on every level, except where it belonged in the finale last night. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm not even going to do my usual spiel intro about how there's spoilers and, all the films that I review are available on Netflix because Netflix is one of our most wonderful and beloved corporations that we've had the pleasure of working with and have support HTLA. So, but not tonight. Well, actually, you can get the episodes on Netflix, so I guess that's still true.
Yeah, and also, this isn't like a film anyway. It's not a spoiler. I mean, if you're a fan of the show, you already saw last night's episode, and if you're not, then, you don't care.
Right. True enough. Absolutely true enough. But, in fairness, thanks to Netflix, I just watched, Coven for the first time, American Horror Story. I missed the entire season when it was on air on television because I was busy doing other things.
Right.
And so I took 2 days this week and I just watched the whole entire thing. So now I have to catch up on Freak Show. And then we can talk about that later.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Sure. So that'll be great. But yes. So usually if you watch TV, if you live TV, just like you do, then this is the show for you anyway.
There you go.
There you go. It's all things real in the world of REEL, real. So whether that's TV or film.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty much.
So now I'm going to turn it over to you because you're our station business guy before we get into the meat of the yapping and all the bad things.
Yeah, I like how I'm the creative genius behind the whole damn thing, and now I'm relegated to doing sales.
No, you just have that radio voice that
yes.
I can't do very well.
That's right. Well, tonight's episode is, of course, partially brought to you by the fine folks at Tim Hortons, New York City, now with 8, yes, count them 8, wonderful locations all over the city to serve your coffee and baked goods needs. And trust me, if you don't have coffee and baked goods needs, just go there once. It's like crack. It is. Also brought to you, of course, by Procast, the automated and intelligent entertainment industry database, soon to be in databases near you.
You mean the project facilitation solution is what he means.
All right, the intelligent project facilitation solution.
That's right, it's coming.
Okay.
Yes.
And of course, by Netflix, yes, and the Netflix Originals television dudes.
That's right, and all of Netflix. I couldn't do any of my shows without Netflix.
Well, and you also couldn't do any of your shows without HTLA Radio 1 New York. So
to
check everything out at that Wang Dangle site, head on over to HTLAradio1.com and get wangled.
That's right. Get Christmas wangled.
Oh, you get a big, wet, floppy Christmas trout in the face when you go there now.
It's not even done yet. I have a meeting tomorrow. I got to finish up the last bit, but
right.
Yep, we still have to do some little last-minute creative touches there. But Santa is waiting.
Absolutely.
Santa is there and waiting. We made sure Santa was there waiting for you.
He ain't got time for that.
No, he has not. Now, please keep in mind, because tonight's show, if it's even remotely of what I was like last night, will not be able to contain myself. So keep in mind that the opinions that we are about to express here do not necessarily reflect those of HTLA Radio 1 or our sponsors or advertisers.
That means she's going to swear a lot.
I just might. And I'm always the one who comes down and is the FCC of virtual reality here. And I say, no N-word, no N-word, no, be quiet, be good,
Yeah.
And I just might be the one to blow that whole thing out of the water tonight because I was so upset last night. I was just on so many levels.
Well, if for no other reason to me than the ridiculous hairdo that Jax had the last 2 episodes.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't even pay attention to the hairdo because I was just so appalled at that whole couldn't have picked a better bike for him to end the show on. Sorry, I just wasn't a fan of the vintage thing, JT or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. If he hit an 18-wheeler with that back whenever he hit it, it had to be a replica. They couldn't have pounded out the original. Who you kidding? It would have been a mangled wreckage.
That's true.
It would have been ghosts of the bike, but it couldn't have been the bike. So, it was just moot.
You just didn't like it because it was baby blue.
I didn't. Your baby blue suit was one thing, but a baby blue bike, no, can't do it. Absolutely not. Unequivocally, no.
Well, and as I said to her when the bike was uncovered in its finished state, it's supposed to be that color.
I know.
That's what they were when they came out.
I know, but it's just not. It's like a bike for Tristan, my son. My 2-year-old needs a baby blue bike because he's a baby boy.
Well, there you go.
A big bad man needs a big black bike.
So how you want to do this tonight, Kate? We've got, the whole Kurt Sutter section, because we got to go through
We
that,
do.
and we've got the whole production section. We got to go through that. Which
Mother Sutter. That's what we've been saying here in HTLA Studio, too, because we're just so very upset, you know.
Well, actually, to be totally honest, I'm not really upset. I kind of expected it was going to be completely anti-climactic.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
Of course, the way I would have finished the story would have been completely different, would have been a lot more bloody and a lot more realistic. And that's one of the major problems that I have had with this show from day one.
Right. No, I know.
And, so many times for this show when things in reality would have happened right then and there, and they didn't. And sometimes they didn't, even in the case of Clay Morrow.
Right.
That character was around 4 years longer than he would have been in a real motorcycle club.
Right. Oh, yeah. In the beginning, he would have gotten. Sure. Absolutely.
And to a lot of the viewers out there that say that the show is extremely violent and blah, 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 blah.
Please.
That's not the half of it.
It isn't.
And it just kind of strikes me as funny, too, that, they take, in this age of PCism, they take, one of the most...
Non-PC.
Subjects. Yeah, but they're originally and authentically not PC.
Right.
I mean, think about their origins. They're World War II veterans. They're Vietnam War veterans. They're guys with some mental issues. There's some guys that are just messed up from the whole thing. And they come back and they have their brothers. That's what they have.
Right.
That's it. And they do everything together. And when you come from battlefields like World War II or Vietnam, there's no taboo. There's nothing off limits. That's why you get this outrageous behavior from biker clubs. It's the way it's always been since day one.
Right.
And the interesting thing is that in this day and age, when this show first started, everybody was like, ooh, this is really badass stuff.
The forbidden world, yes. The world we couldn't enter.
And yet, I look at this and one of my mentors growing up. Yes, I know.
Right. Well, you have personal reference. You have a frame of reference for this that other people, like I was explaining to you, housewives don't have and, accountants don't have.
Very true. But also it should be understood that in addition to my personal experiences with a 1% affiliated motorcycle club out of Toronto, in addition to that real world experience, even as a director, one of my jobs would be to research what the actual history of what it is I'm doing and decide and figure out how best to portray that on the screen.
Right.
And as far as that goes, they completely failed, in my opinion, as far as that stuff goes. Now, in fairness, all of the production team and all the actors and whatnot, the whole cast of the show, have always said it's actually just the epic tale of Gemma Teller. That's really what the whole everything centers around. So I guess in that sense, in that sort of more dramatic, I don't know, what would you call it, soap opera-ish kind of sense,
right.
It was well done to that regard. I think that story was a good one.
Well, let's move on over here now to my area of expertise, and I'll disagree right there with, the writing and the structure and the whole kind of thing. Now, it was intended to be epic. And Kurt Sutter may have created the concept, and he may have gotten an MFA in directing, and he might be, actor/director, but that does not a screenwriter make. Mm-hmm. And that's why there was 27 of them on this show.
Right.
And none of them, because 27 screenwriters also spoil the broth. I think max 8 in a writer's room for a major TV series like American Horror Story or... something like this, or Game of Thrones even, because that's a massive, but it's already written Game of Thrones adaptation for an original screenplay.
Right.
27 writers with 27 ideas about where these original characters should go, and you have what we have. And that is a backstory. And for Kurt Sutter to even end, or whomever the decision was laid upon, to end with a Shakespearean quote, just goes to say that this is somebody that is... who either was just fresh out of film school and did the writer's journey, the hero's journey / writer's journey that we all have to learn when we're writing screenplays and doing that sort of thing.
Sure.
And, pretty much verbatim tried to come up with all those, personas that we need in there, the mentor character and, the helper character and all those kind of things that have to be part and particle of the story for it to be the way it's supposed to be in the typical 3-act, Hollywood structure, that formula, that whole kind of thing.
Yeah.
That basic straight storytelling. Now, it could have taken place in a hair salon. It could have taken place in a Burger King, not a motorcycle club. Because
Sure.
it was so formulaic in the way that it was presented. To me, for me as a screenwriter, I could see the elements of, A, B, C. This is what we have to do now, and here's what we have to go. And the only thing that kept Sons of Anarchy even popular and on as long as it was that the characters were so fascinating, and they weren't even so well developed. You were hoping they would get there, and they just never quite got there.
Right.
What makes a really good story is the redemption, and there was not one character save for Juice, in my opinion, that could have been redeemed. Maybe Nero too, but and that's the irony. Juice turned out to have given up so badly, that he became irredeemable. When he started out as the only character that was, him and Opie. And don't even get me started on the Opie death, because that's another thing. Mm-hmm. With these, en masse of writers, no one, maybe they should have each taken a character and seen where it could have gone from, beginning to end with this character. Because with so many people working on it, no one could see that this story would have done way better with Opie being with Jax the whole entire way as his sounding board, as his conscience, as his moral guidance,
like his Mr. Miyagi.
Pretty much, that kind of thing. It would be like you said yesterday, was his ground, he was his grounding factor.
Yeah.
Tara wasn't, because he cheated on her. So right there, her worth was diminished. I don't care what the rules of the motorcycle clubs are. I mean, we all know how it really is. Well, not all. Okay, we don't all know how it really is.
No.
But we know how it really is, in biker gangs. And that's not something that, anybody would see as acceptable, redeemable. And what did I say? I was on board with Jackson until he cheated on Tara with the Madam chick.
Right.
And even when he slept with the porn chick, it didn't bother me, because, that kind of stuff happens. But
it didn't bother me either.
Well, of course it didn't, But then when he kind of betrayed Tara and he got even more emotionally involved with the Madam and kind of went to her for more of an emotional respite rather than just a purely sexual one, that's where he lost all my respect and care, and I didn't care what happened to Jax after that. I really didn't.
Yeah.
And instead of, and then we talked about last night how, now remember something else that I had said. There's the climax, and then there's the end.
Right.
Last night was the end.
Right.
The climax was 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, or whenever it was. I know we missed a week somewhere in there. And then the whole 3 hours, I have a 2-year-old. I'm not going to stay up until 1 in the morning, but I did.
But she did.
I was frustrated to have to do so, and, so that was all planned out really badly, in my opinion, too. But don't forget, the climax episode was when Gemma was killed, Unser was killed. That whole kind of thing was revealed, him seeing Juice in prison and revealing all that kind of stuff, which that could have been done better too, actually. But, and then the ending was last night, and it was a cheap cop-out. I hope you're all listening. An incredibly cheap cop-out to have him go out the same way as JT. I mean, that is screenwriting 101. That is what, novice screenwriters, that's the mistake. If I had presented that to my professor at screen, he'd say, okay, now go back and write a real ending.
Yeah. Oh,
because, that's the one that non-educated, non-professional screenwriters think you should write. That's the twisty ending that non-professionals would write.
Yeah.
Now go back and write a real one. So take everything you've learned while you're in school and write a real one.
Yeah.
And so it was a complete and total cop-out. And then I'll leave the production crap to you, but the horrible blue screening with him going into the truck and then, okay, I don't know who the chick was, and I'm going to say this because I've said this for the entire length of the show, and you know what I'm going to say.
Yes. Yep.
Those cuts in between, it was like watching dailies.
Yeah.
And it was so off-putting, and it was so painful. Every single time I just wanted to get up, go find the chick whose name was on Edited By, and wring her neck. Mm-hmm. You have gone to film school. You know how to edit. Why are you giving me dailies as your final cut. I just don't understand that.
No.
It had no creative value, no production value, it offered nothing. It just annoyed people that have gone to film school.
Absolutely.
That's all it did, and that's it. So, all right. So I'm going to divert from that. Now we're going to go for our first commercial break, and then we'll get more into the structure again, like we were talking about, when we come back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
Perfect.
You got it locked into New York's best talk. HTLA Radio 1, New York.
So do you guys think being fast is better than being slow?
Yes! It's better to be fast, to not be bitten by a werewolf, and then you'll be turned into one, and you'll have to stay in, and then you'll have to get shaped because you'll be too hot, and then you're like, which means I wish I was back to a human.
What? It's not complicated. Faster is better. And AT&T is the nation's fastest 4G LTE network for your iPhone 5.
The world is facing one of the biggest crises in the history of history. Girls are getting hotter and hotter. This is causing guys to lose their cool. It's happening everywhere. That's why the people at Axe have developed the new Axe Chill collection. It helps guys keep their cool before it's too late. Girls are getting hotter. Keep your cool with the new Chill collection from Axe.
White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum, 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
When you have cable and your picture freezes, you get irritable. When you get irritable, your work suffers. When your work suffers, the wrong man is convicted. When the wrong man is convicted, he has time to think. When he has time to think, he thinks about you a lot. And when he thinks about you a lot, your house explodes. Don't have your house explode. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
I always said shoes are like women. They inspire beautiful music.
But what about these?
Stilettos sound like this.
What does my fragrance inspire?
That's got soul.
My ties are beautiful. They don't need music.
Bringing the stars together. That's the magic of Macy's.
For the best talk, there's only one. HTLA Radio 1.
Yeah, that's right. There you are. We are back tonight on HTLA Radio 1's Real Talk. Talking Sons of Anarchy. Son of And 34 degrees Central Park right now. The snow has finally subsided for the moment. We're getting more, of course.
Yes, we are. Well, according to them, it should be actually gone by mid-afternoon, I believe, if I'm not incorrect. And if you were paying attention and listening to Straight Talk on Monday, I totally called the ice storm.
Yes, you did.
I did. We live a little bit outside of the city, and it was completely glass covered.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was gorgeous, but deadly, like I said. So I knew we had the perfect conditions for them.
That's right.
Right.
And nobody died.
Unlike in our topic of the night that we're discussing, everybody died.
Oh, yes.
And they all should have, but not in some ways. A lot of people should have died sooner. A lot of people should have died later. And,
well, one of the big things for me, I just want to, before you continue on with your little segment there, one of the big things for me was when this series first started out, they had some really, in my opinion, high caliber actors. They had Really good chemistry between those actors as well and those characters within the show.
Right.
And then, of course, ultimately, because of the nature of the show, people have got to start getting killed off, and that's all great.
Sure.
But when they start killing off certain characters, like you're saying with Opie and
Right.
with Piney, and some of the founding members that were JT's associates at the very beginning of the
Right.
Redwood originals, it just started kind of getting flatter and flatter with every death. I mean,
Exactly.
there were characters, 3 and 4 seasons in that you were permanently attached to. There was groups. It was kind of reminded me of Twilight even. Are you Team Jacob or Team
Right.
Wolfie or whatever? Sorry.
Jacob was the wolf, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Team
well,
Edward or Team Jacob.
Oh,
right?
yes, Edward, the poor little boy.
Right.
So
Surprised he wasn't in this, too.
when you're doing a show like this, it's really tough because you have to be careful. You have to be careful because you don't want to kill off a good section of your market that you're trying to sell, beer and pizza to or what have you.
Right. That's a lot of good point.
There was a number of times I thought Bobby was going to die, and I was thinking, well, when that happens, I'm done because Bobby is about the most, I would say, authentic, close to actual bikers,
right,
as there is in the whole show.
Yep.
With a close second, actually, followed by Canadian actor Kim Coates, who plays Tig.
Oh, brilliant, though, in every scene. Show stealer in every scene.
Absolutely.
I love it, yep.
That man is incredible. I mean,
Yep.
Everybody's on the Charlie Hunnam train, but I
Yeah.
think I would be more on the
No.
on the Kim Coates train
Oh,
myself.
me too.
But here's something interesting. The introduction of Jimmy Smits.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty smart on the production side.
Except
to do that because of his acting ability and,
Right.
of course, his many, many years of successful experience. And the actual character itself worked, although, again, problem with the PC thing of
Right.
mixing all these
like we
races.
were talking, it wouldn't happen in real life. It wouldn't happen in real life. But
No.
they needed Gemma would have never gotten away from Clay if Nero hadn't come along. So I get that.
True.
But again, baloney, and then they both had, the heart conditions thing. To me, I hate anything that's trite and anything that's predictable.
Yeah.
And anything that's these kind of things. And as an average viewer, I'm going to light my cigarette, though. Hang on a second.
Oh, all right. Look at that.
Oh, I don't do coffee and cigarettes. I'm allowed now.
I see. Yes, Coffee and Cigarettes, of course, being our weekday show every day at 3 p.m. Eastern.
That I'm supposed to co-host when I'm free.
That's
and I
right.
make surprise guest appearances, so don't be surprised.
Yeah, there was one surprise. She was on it once.
I'll come back when I get a chance. But I have a lot of other things in the bag in the works here. But all right, not to get off the topic. Which was what? What was I on about now? What was the... Oh, that I hate all things trite.
Yes.
And I hate machinations. And I hate plants that turn out to be unexplained. And I hate plants that turn out to be, cop-outs and just, writing ploys by hack writers. Sorry, I hate to say that, but I have to. The first season was brilliant. The second season, when they started killing people off and characters that could have been so vital towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you wanted to tell me that Jax's every single support system was going to fall away and that the crux of his character arc, which there wasn't any at the end, by the way,
Nope.
was going to be that he had to redeem himself without any of the, primary characters that we build around our protagonists in stories to help them, that would have been brilliant. And I would have loved to have seen how that played out. But that wasn't the case. You just took away people from him at random. Tara's murder was gratuitous, unnecessary. It would have been way better to have her live, and Gemma had to live with her after all of that.
Sure.
So much brilliance. And dare I say, another 3 seasons was wasted by killing all these people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we got gypped because Opie didn't get to face Clay for killing Piney.
Absolutely.
We got gypped the way Opie got killed.
Absolutely.
Opie redeemed himself. Even after the death of his wife coming back, he could have been the powerhouse vice prez to Jax's prez. And,
And you know, the thing that strikes me is even the unschooled masses out there that watch the show were saying the same thing on all the fan forums.
Oh, were they?
Absolutely.
Right.
He's the logical choice. That's what it should have been.
Right. Well, they probably removed him because they thought that by not choosing the logical choice, it was going to be, plot twisty. But they did it backwards. I swear it was like they just grabbed up a group of amateur writers and said, here's a great concept, go with it.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. There was so much discontinuity. Let's take the chick that was supposed to be Brooke's dead mother from JT's accident, the guardian angel that appeared in all the crises episodes.
Right.
You know, you gypped us by not fully explaining it. Sure, yeah, us that are kind of modicum of intelligence and whatnot and familiar with story and avid viewers of TV and film could have figured it out. But that wasn't even the point. You know, you have others that aren't as adept. And you should have explained it. You should have given them something more. The picture wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You know, it just wasn't. And what's it's time. And she gives him the Vietnam blanket so he can go kill Marx. What the hell is that? It's Miller time. It's time for lunch. What? It's time. You know, it's just crap. And I get so angry, you know, because I invested so much of myself into this.
Yeah.
And, you know, and every character I felt could have gone further. Just wasn't. Let's take Tig's relationship with Venus Van Dam, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they made a point of it with the Nazi group, you know, he's a transvestite lover, you know, blah, 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 blah. That is something that really could have been explored. Never, by the way, happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
You kidding me?
No.
So, I mean, just the thought of it, just the thought of the racial mixing, just the thought of, you know, at the end, the charters accepting. You know,
that patch over with the black motorcycle club?
Never happened, people.
No, they would have just been killed off or dispersed.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't happen. And why? Because Jack said it. You know, this was too Shakespearean. They tried to throw, you know, like it was a Hamlet. It was what it really was. If you want to look at the structure, Jack's was Hamlet, you know, and they changed up the story a bit.
Yeah.
You know, it was his mother and his stepfather, the king, that killed his real father. It was Hamlet. I mean, there is the structure and there is the story. And right there. But it was a crap-ass adaptation of Hamlet. Sorry. It could have been done much better.
Mm-hmm.
Tara was no Ophelia. Sorry.
No.
You know, and Gemma wasn't redemptive like Hamlet's mother was. You know. And there was no ghost of JT. His manuscript wasn't enough of a ghost. You know what I mean? It just wasn't. So, you know, it just was a poorly done adaptation of Hamlet now that I sit and I actually examine it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, for me, the first, like by the fourth season, I was like, yes, the prince, the prince, the prince. You know, I couldn't wait to see what Jax was going to do. Now that
they
he
did
was
a great job of building that whole storyline up.
And then you dropped me on my face, and I won't forgive you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't. You know, and that's it. You know, it's unfortunate.
Mother Sucker.
That's it. That's it. From now on, you will be known to me as Mother Sutter. And that's it. What can I say? You know, and I'm sorry. Let's talk about production just a little bit here. The music choices.
Oh.
Please, dear God in heaven, don't ever put a car chase to jazz again. What is the matter with you?
Well, you know, I have a feeling that the people that did all the arranging and setting up of all of the soundtrack for this entire series was seriously on crack and also responsible for getting the advertisers.
Yeah. Oh, that was right. You just read my mind again. You know, Mercedes-Benz and Miller Lite. In what realm of reality
you wouldn't catch
do
bikers
drink Miller Lite or drive a Mercedes-Benz? What?
No.
I drive a Mercedes-Benz, an ML320 that I've had. It's my little station wagon soccer mom car, you know, and none of us would drink a light anything in this house.
Or bikers.
Well, right. That's what I'm saying, though. And that was my point. That's us. So could you imagine bikers?
No.
Right.
No, absolutely not. In fact, light beer in the biker community has always been looked at as, quote, piss water.
Right. And let's not forget, you can go to Brats of Anarchy on Facebook. That's my MC. And I've had that for quite a long while since the inception of Sons of Anarchy. Because I'm Brats of Anarchy. Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
but
she's a badass. But it should be noted that her favorite Harley is, of course, the new electric-powered one.
Well, no. I said I want to try that out. Please, my bike is better and faster than yours. I go for the speedy fast bikes. He likes the ones you can tool around, and the fat boy to drive real slow and like cruise around. And I'm like, zoom.
There's no point in being cool at 200 miles an hour.
I disagree.
You got to be cool at 40 so all the ladies can see you.
Well, see, and it's my peel into a stop that gets all the attention.
That's true.
See, so there you go.
That's true.
But yeah.
No, on the production side, I was completely shocked and appalled pretty much from day one. I mean, logical advertisers to approach for clearance for this film would be, of course, Jack Daniels and Jim Beam, and it would be Harley Davidson, and it would be, some National Leather Ranch company or something. It
exactly.
would be, but to, have your main advertisers as being Mercedes-Benz and Bud Light.
Yeah.
It really makes me question the actual demographics that they thought were watching the show.
Yeah.
And
it's sad.
But in fairness now, in thinking about it, maybe the Nielsen boys there probably are giving them some numbers that we're not privy to as far as the suggested target markets for the show, because...
Well, let's face it, the bikers weren't sitting around the clubhouse watching the show. It was housewives, and it was accountants, and it was those that wanted to be transported into this world.
Yeah, real bikers are actually too busy out doing it.
And they lost the bikers by making it Hamlet instead of what it was really, what their life is really about.
Sure.
Diosa, come on, give me a break. I would like to talk when we come back from our break. I'm going to give you the next 4 minutes, though, for production stuff more, because I'd like for you to talk a little bit more about some things that you felt could have been done better in that way. Things that we noticed. Because I know that we talked about the music choices, and you did have some camera issues. You had some issues with some of the shooting things that could have been done better.
Well, and, see, the problem with that is probably for as many writers as this show had.
They had as many directors.
Had as many directors.
It was just
and the problem is, of course, everybody has a different perspective, and it's not just really a socio-political perspective. It's everything. It's that visual perspective.
Right.
So
it's an eye.
If someone were to come to me and say, I want you to direct this episode of SOA, I'm going to bring to it whatever creative license I'm known for, and what I do and what I practice and what I think looks good and what I think will tell the story best, and all of those technical things that go into transcribing all the information on the page to what's on the screen.
Right.
So in a perfect world, I would say the best series would be those that would be directed by a single individual. However, you never see that on any big epic series like this, even in the sci-fi genre with things like Babylon 5, Star Trek The Next Generation, all those things. They threw everybody and their dog as directors in all those shows.
They do it on Game of Thrones.
Just to get the credits. Well, again, yes. However, with something that's a period piece like Game of Thrones, it's a lot easier. Yeah. It's a lot easier for a director to come in and say, okay, well, these are what the costumes are like. These are what the sets are like. These are what the settings are like. This is what the lighting is like. This is what the characters look like on screen. You've already got a lot of answered questions when you come into that.
Right. Nope, you're right. I agree.
But this to me, from a directing and a production standpoint, almost seems like the USC dropouts got together and made a TV series, because
I hate to say it too, it's so heartbreaking.
I think more in the middle seasons in 3 and 4 and 5, I was most happy with their choices for lighting and sets and locations and how they handled a lot of the shifting daylight in sun and cloud cover in California and a lot of places that they were shooting.
Right.
I think they did a good job in equalizing all that to make the scenes look continuous, especially when, of course, they don't shoot them in order. So, as far as those kind of technical things go, I'd say seasons 2, 3, and 4 were probably their best for that, as well as interiors. When it comes to things like... Well, I'm not going to go to the story because you've done a fine job with that so far.
Well, we got a lot to talk about with that still yet as well. So
yeah.
Definitely.
But, purely from a directing standpoint, I hate to say it, kind of, but then I kind of don't.
I know, me too. I know.
I would have liked to have seen, Kurt Sutter is credited apparently with the creation of this.
Right, so he concepted it. That's what we say. You concepted it, and they let you do stuff on it.
Well,
that's what I see.
Yeah, ignoring what his contract may have had in it in terms of what he was going to be doing, and if you want my story, you have to let me write
exactly.
these. And,
we know how that goes.
Whatever.
Right.
Aside from that, I would have liked to see one production team. One director, one script supervisor, one of everything on the crew to just stick with it the whole 7 seasons.
Right.
I can almost guarantee that you would have seen a better end product.
Way, way better. I concur.
And in particular, just kind of in closing before our commercial break here, the only other thing that I think I would say about the production side in terms of the overall look and value of the show is in the last 2 episodes, aside from the jazz music during car chases and all the other stupid choices that were made.
Very stupid.
Those last 2 episodes, there was stuff visually wrong all over the place with this thing. The lighting was wrong. I think it looked like they were using different cameras and different lenses and different filters.
Oh, good. It wasn't just me.
No.
Okay.
The interior shots looked different than normal. It just looked like they decided at the end of, oh, well, geez, we better go over to this camera platform and this editing system.
Right.
And you'll notice in those last 2 episodes, those funky edits that you hate all through the whole thing weren't there.
Well, no, they were a bit. They just got shorter.
Yeah.
They got shorter. It was like, well, we don't want to toss it out now because we've been doing it all season, but...
It's almost like they traded in the old Pinnacle video studio for Windows Movie Maker.
What did we say? I could have done it better with Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah.
Because I would have had more creative choice.
Well, and I got to say, too, and some YouTube interviews that I've seen, no, not interviews, sorry, reviews,
right,
that the fan base has done. They've reviewed certain episodes and stuff, and that they talk about things like the quality of the editing and the quality of the story.
Really?
And how was Charlie Hunnam's performance this episode versus, Kate, what's her face there, Siegel, and what do you think about what? But a lot of the things that they were saying, specifically about the look of the show,
right,
where they would get into talking about special effects.
Oh, what?
And, well, now don't laugh, because special effects do include things like makeup effects.
No,
it's all
I
in
know.
the same.
Oh, I know.
It's
like
in the same category.
When they set Tig's daughter on fire, et cetera,
Sure.
all those things. Absolutely, I'm with you.
But normally, there's not a whole lot of SFX in this thing.
No.
But where there is, they were always done really well. And I was just kind of really shocked last night at the truck scene with it was grade school quality.
Our daughter is 14, and she does all the kind of anime and the computer stuff. I've seen better stuff from her than that blue screen truck crash thing. What was that thing?
Yeah.
It was like PewDiePie from YouTube did it. Not that I don't love PewDiePie, I do. But I'm just saying. Are you kidding? Well, we've got more to talk about, not the least of which is guest stars on the show choices.
Oh, yes.
I want to get into when we come back from our commercial break. 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You got it locked into New York's best talk. HTLA Radio 1, New York.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
Have I got a treat for you? New clean whipped cream foundation from CoverGirl. A delicious new recipe whipped up by Clean Makeup. They took their clean, fresh foundation, added a dash of hydration, then whipped it to smooth, matte perfection. Finally, a non-drying whip that wears like a dream. What a treat from Clean. New clean whipped cream from easy, breezy, beautiful CoverGirl.
is, White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum, 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
When you have cable and can't record all your shows, you feel unhappy. When you feel unhappy, you go to happy hour. When you go to happy hour, you're up for anything. When you're up for anything, you head to a Turkish bathhouse. When you head to a Turkish bathhouse, you meet Charlie Sheen. And when you meet Charlie Sheen, you reenact scenes from Platoon with Charlie Sheen. Don't reenact scenes from Platoon with Charlie Sheen. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
I always said shoes are like women. They inspire beautiful music.
But what about these?
Stilettos sound like this.
What does my fragrance inspire?
That's got soul.
My ties are beautiful. They don't need music.
Bringing the stars together. That's the magic of Macy's.
For the best talk, there's only one. HTLA Radio 1.
Oh, yes.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening, of course, to the Wednesday film night here at HTLA Radio 1 in New York City. Coming to you live from Studio 2 in Manhattan. And, Wednesdays is our film day here.
Yeah,
We've
our
got
entertainment, or just visual entertainment day.
Yeah, we got Film 101 with yours truly just before this show. Talking about production defined. Helping you figure out that production end of things. Kind of like free film school.
Kind of.
And then, of course, we have Real Talk here tonight at this time slot. And, there you go. So, you want to check out Film 101 or any of the rest of our shows at HTLA, go ahead and punch all in www.HTLAradio1.com.
That's the number one, just like us.
That's right. And also stay tuned, because coming up in January 1st, we unveil and open up and launch
Oh, yes.
HTLA Radio 2.
That's right.
With more news, sports, politics, weather.
All the variety
naked,
you could hope for.
Naked hosts.
That's it. Good thing we're radio.
It's all coming to you.
Yes,
there you
sir.
go.
That's it.
So we're back with our third segment now of Real Talk tonight. And, of course, we're talking about SOA, Son of a...
Son of a. We said that so often last night.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And so we've gone through a little bit of the story and the characters. We've gone through a lot of the production end of things. And what do you want to work into this segment, my love?
Well, I was, quite... As the seasons went on, it got so commercial. It almost felt like I was watching The Love Boat with all the guest starring appearances. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Adrienne
could tell.
Barbeau.
That was my favorite, though.
And she was in it.
That was the most fantabulous bit of casting and writing and execution. That episode was my all-time favorite, probably.
Really?
It blew me away when Jack shot her in the head. It just blew me away. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't expecting it. I figured he'd punch her in the face, but I had no idea he was going to drop her right there. So that was brilliant, because it's hard to get one over on me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was I love her. I've always been a huge fan. If you've ever seen Stephen King's Creepshow, I'm a huge anthology, totally. I even write horror anthology. But in the Creepshow series, Hal Holbrook and Adrienne Barbeau, and how funny, Hal Holbrook was in it as her father.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. And they were in one of my favorite episodes. It's about the monster in the box. He works for a museum. She's Billy, the big mouth, and he fantasizes about killing her, and he finally feeds her to this monster that's in the museum under the box.
That's right. I did see that, yeah.
Right. So, but I've always loved her. And The Fog, one of my all-time favorite movies ever, John Carpenter's The Fog. And so I was thrilled to see her again, looking as gorgeous as ever. She's always, I just had a baby at 43, so she had twins at like 66 or something like that. 56, she had twins. So I'm like, I still have 10 years to go. I can have more. She's always been my role model for that. So, but I've always been a fan. So when she was brought on as this horrific, kind of epitomized monster. But then, to really twist it so he turned into this gender-bending kind of, warped freak of nature is so stereotypically god-awful, too. That kind of killed it for me.
Yeah, well, again, that was another attempt to equalize PCism and...
Right.
Oh, well, we've got to include the transgenders because what?
Well, oh, wow. See, I didn't even see it from that side. All I saw was you can't have a transgender. The mother had to have been a child pornography kind of witch monster to turn.
Okay, here's a simple equation for you and the folks at home. Biker gang plus transgender equals bang.
Right.
And I'm not talking gang bang.
No, not even remotely.
No.
And it's just a glossed over kind of Hollywood version of, it's Hamlet and the biker gang and all that kind of thing. So, and the more I think, the more that kind of stuff hits me, that's what it was. And, but this is a sophomoric kind of thing, and anybody who's actually been to film school and actually written quality screenplays or actually really study the craft and hone the craft and go out of their way to better themselves in the craft and all these kind of things. The glaring first-year screenwriting stuff that's in there, it's glaring. Like the stereotype stuff, like the plants, There were some moments of absolute and utter brilliance. And I'm going to venture to say they came from any one of those 27 screenwriters that popped in there that were a little veteran, that said, no, don't go with that trite stuff, do this.
Right.
Or else I'd have seen it coming. Right? But the guest stars, to me, that's just where, when they started bringing those in, that's when you knew the entire series had taken a turn. You can almost imagine Kurt Sutter, after working on The Shield on FX, saying, I got this great concept here, check it out. It's SOA. And they start, and he's really humble in the beginning and overwhelmed and grateful and all this kind of stuff.
Which he was, yeah.
And then by the time the season with the guest stars start coming, and now I can't even stand to look at him on screen. How did he even host afterward yesterday? How did he even get his head in the door? And it was so hard for Charlie Hunnam to even get a word in edgewise because he was like, me, 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 and me, me, me. And that was the entire thing. I had to shut it. So anyway, by that point, you can tell that the whole entire series is starting to shift. It's getting more commercial. It's getting more, we're so huge now. We're going to start bringing in guest stars and, that kind of thing and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And Courtney Love, the biggest miscast, worst decision in the history of anything. Not that I'm not a fan of Courtney Love, because I am. I've seen her do brilliant performances. I've seen her do a lot of not so brilliant performances, including this one. And totally utter, uber mistake. So it was just like they were hanging out, they were having brunch, they were having drinks, and you want to be on the show? Sure, here. Go ahead. Here's your sides, and I'll see you tomorrow. And that was it. That's it. But, and who else? Who else did they have guest that was a pretty big surprise? And I'm like, what the H? Well, CCH Pounder. Okay, she's the district attorney. Mm-hmm. And I've watched her in everything. Yep. I've watched her entire career.
I like her.
She's a fantastic actress, But again, I think it was a miscast. I think that somebody else in that role would have been great. And Annabeth Gish, I've been watching her forever, since before Mystic Pizza and her MOWs when she was a kid, And again, Sheriff Jerry, no, not buying it,
Yeah.
We went from, Roosevelt, again, an ethnic character, from Unser to Roosevelt to Jerry. It's like, is this what they're saying the presidency is going to be? Unser to Roosevelt, and now we're going to get a Jerry, because that's what it feels like.
That kind of leaves me with something else, too, that leaves a bad taste in the mouth, too, is now that we've got the Black Grim Reapers in the Irish SOA, how long before, the ex-Reaper president goes for president or VP of that club in the future?
Well, sure.
What are they saying there? Are they
it's
crazy?
Just a bad move all around. It's just a bad move all around. The whole entire thing. It wasn't true to the biker lifestyle. It wasn't true to, the law enforcement lifestyle either.
No.
I mean, all three sheriffs are going to cooperate to preserve the the town of Charming. Give me a break.
Well, and there was that other white guy that was supposed to be taking over for Unser, but he got killed.
Oh, my gosh. That was so brief. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The clean-cut guy.
Probably would have been the best thing that ever happened to the show if he would have been.
Well, it looked like he was gearing up to be. He was totally against them, wanted to run them out of town, and was going to shut them down any way he could.
Right. Oh, and then that failed thing with the developer. That was a failed storyline right there, too.
Yeah, kind of.
That could have been done so much better. It all could have been done so much better. There were so many impotent storylines that just, like a flaccid penis, just could have gone big and hard and bang on, and it just went, and that was it. And
of course, you listen to the TV critics reviewing this thing all through all 7 seasons. They're like, oh, it's gritty, it's raw, it's real.
It's baloney.
Yeah, it's total crap.
It was baloney. There were, there were some subjects and scenes and things that weren't tackled, on ABC or NBC.
Sure.
Or even, HBO would be hard-pressed to do. Like the rape scenes in the prison. It was painful.
The rape of Gemma.
Yeah, that was another great... See, I don't remember that far back. That's how long it's been, really, honestly. But I forgot all about that. Yeah, but that was when the show was good. Yeah. That was when the show was good. It had integrity. It was pure. And then it got damn commercial. Because somebody decided to start wearing turtlenecks and ponytails. Yeah. And it got commercial. And it was a sellout. It just turned into a sellout.
And really, what was the whole point of the former U.S. District Marshal or whatever he was,
Oh, Lee?
And that whole vengeance of his sister thing.
Yeah, and what was the freaky drug addict, sexual, doing himself in the mirror, kind of on crack thing?
And well, here more to it, though, is it had nothing to do with Sons of Anarchy. It had nothing to do with Tara.
No.
It didn't. It was all Otto, and Otto was in jail for life.
It was his starring turn. It was his starring turn. It was the chance for his storyline to be developed to its conclusion, and that was it.
Well,
it was a narcissistic move on the part of the creator.
Yeah,
And we were talking about even Stephen King, who has the right to be narcissistic in his whatever, because his writing is actually consistent and brilliant.
Absolutely,
doesn't do stuff like that.
No,
It just reduced the integrity of the whole. I am really happy that the cast are now a brotherhood off screen, and that came about for them. But the series itself, in my opinion, started out incredible. It could have been one of the greatest series that has ever been.
Sure.
And then it was a sellout, and it turned commercial, and it just fell flaccid. And that's
I absolutely agree. And something else that I want to state here too is. Going back to the characters, one of the characters that was awesome throughout the entire series until that ultimate last 2 episodes was Chibs.
Oh, my God, yes.
He was like a non-entity.
I get the rights of a husband. That's all I kept seeing when I was seeing him, from Braveheart. But
right.
That's it. That's all I kept seeing. I've always loved him anyway.
Yeah.
But I was glad they made him president in the end. But that even didn't make sense. And then, you got to remember, Tig was near death for betraying the club. And now he's the vice president. Just because he earned his way back in by doing that kind of stuff. And I didn't buy any of that either, because that just wouldn't happen.
No.
They would never trust them again. And Juice, Chibs beats him up and he's okay with everybody now. And... Chibs' anger will last as long as the bruises on your face. And that's baloney. That's just bull crap. It just wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And even Tara, she wouldn't have made it out of Charming. She wouldn't have made it anywhere the minute it was even whiffed that she was going to turn. She'd have been dead.
Yeah.
She would have never gone,
they don't
boys or no boys.
No.
And then trying to utilize the boys as some kind of bargaining chip. And then, what really pisses me off? Really pisses me off. Is they could have gone several more seasons, with Jax just riding off into the sunset, coming back when Abel was grown, because he's old enough to remember the lifestyle.
Sure.
And he's being raised by a crow eater. You think he's not going to grow up to be a biker? What? He's wearing the son's ring. He's got the legacy. He remembers his daddy.
Oh, but come on. They're going off to the nice farm.
with the gangster and the crow eater.
You can take the gangster out of the farm,
Right,
but you can't.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. So you just missed out on an entire sequel series right there. Sons of Anarchy, The Next Generation. Because Abel.
Sons of Anarchy, Twilight.
Oh gosh. Rats of Anarchy.
Sorry.
So they could have grown. And how amazing also Abel and Thomas taking over as president, vice president in the future.
Yeah.
And don't dare even think about making that series now, by the way.
Yeah, we'll sue you into the ground.
That's it, into the next millennium. But we're going to have to take another break, unfortunately. But when we come back, we're going to wrap up with a whole bunch of other little tidbits. And hope you stay with us. 2 minutes, we'll be right back.
SOA goodies, goodies, goodies.
You got it locked into New York's best talk. HTLA Radio 1, New York.
So do you guys think being fast is better than being slow?
Yes! It's better to be fast, to not be bitten by a werewolf, and then you'll be turned into one, and you'll have to stay in, and then you'll have to get shaved because you'll be too hot, and then you're like, which means I wish I was back to a human.
What? It's not complicated. Faster is better. And AT&T is the nation's fastest 4G LTE network for your iPhone 5.
The world is facing one of the biggest crises in the history of history. Girls are getting hotter and hotter. This is causing guys to lose their cool. It's happening everywhere. That's why the people at Axe have developed the new Axe Chill collection. It helps guys keep their cool before it's too late. Girls are getting hotter. Keep your cool with the new Chill collection from Axe.
White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum, 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
When you have cable and your picture freezes, you get irritable. When you get irritable, your work suffers. When your work suffers, the wrong man is convicted. When the wrong man is convicted, he has time to think. When he has time to think, he thinks about you a lot. And when he thinks about you a lot, your house explodes. Don't have your house explode. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
I always said shoes are like women. They inspire beautiful music.
But what about these?
Stilettos sound like this.
What does my fragrance inspire?
That's got soul.
My ties are beautiful. They don't need music.
Bringing the stars together. That's the magic of Macy's.
For the best talk, there's only one. HTLA Radio 1.
Yes. HTLA Radio Fun is what I like to call
That's
it.
it. You know it. Especially tonight. I'm having a lot of fun.
It is. It's a good episode tonight.
It's good. I'm having fun. Gotta say.
You betcha. Well, we're coming up at 35 degrees Central Park right now. Partially cloudy and no snow right now.
Nope. And we're also running long on our show. Usually this is an hour show, but because we had so much to say, we decided to extend it just a little bit longer.
Then there you go, yeah.
Right. So we're going to wrap it up now with let's talk a little bit more briefly on anything else you might have to say. Production-wise, a 7-season series. Bleh, say that 20 times really fast. A 7-season series is incredibly difficult to facilitate continuity and production-wise, and crew doesn't even last maybe 7 seasons. People die, people get married, people quit. Things
people
happen.
get run over by trains and have huge movements on Facebook.
Yeah, that's whatever.
Well,
but yeah.
One thing that I will say is that the intros and segues to this show, those black background animations with the spotlight on Hunnam and the flashing skulls and whatnot on all the different characters.
I did like the theme song.
They started that, I think, at about season 4, and they really brought up their game with, that whole production value of all of those little intros and segues and drops and whatnot that they did for the show.
Right.
And of course, they carried that right through to the end because that
the
really
merchandising.
worked. Well, and that stuff was huge. But
right.
The problem I have with all of that is, if you're so damn good with all the intros and titles and segues and everything else, your little commercial drops and everything else that you've got for the show, that is so stellar.
Right.
What happened to the meat of the show, which was not so stellar? And then the other side of it is exactly that merchandising. I had to browse through some of the stuff that's for sale.
Oh, gosh, I'm afraid to ask.
Well, there are things that, there's Katie Seagal's sort of backless shirts you can buy.
Oh, my goodness. They went out in the 80s.
Yeah. And
not real biker chicks don't wear that now.
No. And there's this, that, and the next thing. But the thing that really got me is there is not for sale.
One
Sorry.
leather jacket.
Not one leather jacket.
I knew you were going to say that.
There's not for sale one leather vest.
Oh, my God. No cuts for sale, huh?
Not a single one.
It's a show. We can't get in trouble for wearing them.
They market what they call the cloth highway jacket, which is just some cloth coat. It's not biker styling even.
I got to tell you, that doesn't surprise me given the sponsors of Mercedes-Benz and Miller Lite. Sorry, I just don't. That's what I mean.
Well, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
This show isn't for bikers.
No.
This is for those doctors and lawyers out there who figure they're going to drop $20,000 on a fat boy and get dressed up on weekends and pretend they're badasses.
Right, it's like the Renaissance Festival people.
Oh yes,
right.
Yes, the good
but
old...
it's a bad scene because this could have been. And if anybody knows anything about HTLA, it's about authenticity and integrity and all that kind of stuff. This could have been one of the most brilliant, authentic, really truly gritty kind of shows. So they had some scenes that, went just beyond what, the ratings board would allow or whatever it is, and that's it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make for, a groundbreaking, cutting edge kind of, thing. And it could have been, and it's so disappointing, and it could have gone so many different places with so many of the characters. Had they been more developed and taken. It was concepted. The first season probably wasn't scripted when he pitched it. So they probably got a team together and scripted the first scene. But if he had taken the time to script that first season and really done, the character background. Look, the first thing they told me when I went to school was right from the end.
Yeah.
He clearly didn't write from the end, or there wouldn't be discontinuity. There wouldn't have been so many deaths that could have been further developed, and
there wouldn't have been so many plotless points. There wouldn't have been so many non-characters. There
avenues could have gone. Chucky was so wasted. He was so wasted. There were so many brilliant. Philip was wasted. Chibs.
Yeah.
There was just so many characters that were utterly, utterly wasted. And then heartbreaking with Abel and claiming that and don't even get me started on the school shooting. Talk about you know what? Yeah, let's just take a minute here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Talk about a gratuitous headline grabbing, well, we got the balls to put a school shooting on our show thing.
That's exactly what that was.
Of course it was. And you know what? I just lose all respect for everybody involved in the making of that show at that point. All right, maybe a half a point I'll give you for having the balls to write it in when everybody else is shying away from the subject, because I'm no PC. There's no PC in my life whatsoever. But, it was poorly done. It was crap. It was a machination to get the DA onto Sam Crow.
Another machination, I should add.
Well, right, because, they had nothing else, so they had to create stuff. And then the way they wrapped it, too, and okay, it was a lead into the whole Tara thing, but Tara had nothing to do with it anyway. She was planning all this stuff from the beginning.
Yeah.
And let's talk about Tara for a second. You make a heroine of your show, somebody who, for whatever her good intentions were, perhaps, go behind the back of everybody in her life and betray everybody. And then she has the nerve to sit there and say, I'm no rat. You know, so what's worse? You're a liar. You're lying to everybody in your life. And I don't care if you think you're protecting your boys. You're kidnapping the boys from their other half of their family, good, bad, or otherwise. It's not your call.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just not.
Well, and again, that alludes to what? The complete lack of traditional values in this country anymore. Nobody cares about that anymore.
That's true, too. But it's also a non-development of what could have been.
Oh, sure.
You know, had she had the balls to stand behind her man like traditional couples would and do, which I thought she was going to do at first.
I did too, you know.
So I kind of respected her. Even after Jax cheated on her and I was pissed off at Jax, I still was hoping she would do that.
Yeah.
Because she could have been what Opie would have been and changed him and made him the one to change the club and make it something that his boys could have been proud of.
In my opinion, that's the only other way that he could have had that supporting character after Opie. Yeah.
You know, and he's going on and on about how, you know, everything is to make it safe for the boys. And I promise this time it's the blood. How many times did he say the bloodshed's going to end and it ends today and it ends today and it ends today? And I promise and Jesus Christ.
Yeah. How about we pick another term other than Jesus Christ?
Oh, Lord, help me. Right?
I'm going to put together a YouTube video of all the times throughout the entire 7 seasons that he said Jesus Christ.
God.
And it's going to be funny.
And then the one time I remember I cracked up and I laughed and I fell on the floor because we were just talking about that a little while ago. And in the next scene, Tara goes, Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I just fell out. I swear. It was so funny. But, yeah. I mean, there you go. Again, she's a doctor, first of all. That was another ridiculous thing. I don't care if they were childhood sweethearts. You know, what did they talk about? You know, a Neanderthal biker and, you know, postgraduate educated.
No.
It's, yeah.
It just
you know?
did not fit. No.
And then she wears the biker clothes and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, come on.
Oh, and then don't forget, you're forgetting even a more poignant point.
Oh, I'm so afraid. I keep remembering these things. It's like a nightmare.
That exact thing.
What?
We found out subsequently through Tara's kidnapping that the hospital administrator used to be a biker chick.
Oh, that's right. OMG.
Are you kidding me?
First of all, once a biker chick, always a biker chick.
Yeah.
You know, sorry. It doesn't work that way. I dated a biker. I didn't turn into a biker chick. But had I dated him longer, I might not be here today. I might be somebody else because it's just part of that whole thing. You know, and when you get tattooed in that way and to be somebody's old lady, you don't like...
Well, let's be clear. When you're somebody's old lady, you're somebody's property.
Right.
And that's slavery, and that's bad PC.
Well, right. It's good in practice, but it's bad PC. But, you know, and it doesn't work for joining a hospital administration later either.
No.
You know. And
no,
it's
there's
just
no way.
Crap. It's just bullcrap, you know. And then what she did. Oh, that's it. How could I forget that? You know, the minute you had her lie to Jax about miscarrying a baby,
yeah,
that was it. And then you had the nerve to let Jax sacrifice himself and say, oh, well, it's okay, honey. You go home with the boys, whatever you want. After he finds out it was a lie and she wasn't pregnant? Are you kidding? I would have snapped her neck in the park. I mean, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
There's no redemption for that. That's when I lost it for Tara. I don't care what her intentions were. You just don't do that. You don't let your husband think your baby's dead. Ever. I don't care what he did. You know. So that was it for me, too. So there's a lot of discontinuity. There was a lot of, you know, was it entertaining every week? Yeah. You know, did it have extraordinary award-winning potential? Yeah. Did it make it there? Absolutely not. And I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. And here's a note to all series makers out there right now. We hate The Talking Dead, so don't do afterward and don't do all this bull crap after the shows because we wait long enough for the shows and we don't want to talk about them later with you people.
As we sit here and do our after show at HTLA Radio 1.
Well, we're not doing an after show. We're doing the show. This is our show.
Fair enough.
But you know what I mean. We don't have an after series for tailor-made our webisodes.
No, that's true. And we also, through these 7 seasons, while HTLA's been around for just about all of them, we've never done our own version of an after show to any series.
No.
That's not what we do, so.
Right, but anyway, it's just getting ridiculous now. First, it was the reality implosion. And now, let's talk about the show after the show because, you don't have any friends? You got to talk to people on the TV?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What happened to around the water cooler the next day? That used to be the big thing.
Well, maybe these after shows are kind of like a support group for after things like Honey Boo Boo.
Oh, Lord help us. Maybe so. But I don't know. But I have to express my thorough disappointment. The show had its brilliant moments, but they weren't as many as I was disillusioned to believe. Until this last season, I was a huge fan. I wouldn't have said any of these things before I watched this last season. But then it's kind of like I woke up. I woke. First of all, the whole ridiculousness with the IRA Kings.
Yeah.
I'm not a criminal and I'm not a gangster, but I can tell you right now, it wouldn't go down like that. It just wouldn't go down like that. I can kind of guarantee that.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. I know. I'm an English woman married to an Irishman, and I know that it wouldn't go down like that. It just wouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
So, it's just sad. It's just sad and shameful and sad, And the actors were all brilliant. So I'm going to say that. There was not a bad acting performance in the bunch. Not one episode.
Even the most hated characters.
Those are always the best.
All the acting was impeccable.
Right, except Courtney Love.
Well, stop and hold the boat.
She sucked. She couldn't even deliver 2 lines. Sorry, I'm sorry. That was just horrible.
She played a preschool teacher. How hard can it be? Come on.
Yeah, it was such a... Yeah, it's like drawing from reality. I know. Yeah, no. No. No, that was bad. That was bad. That was meant to be, a ha-ha kind of thing. You succeeded. So
I think so. Yeah, really? Courtney Love, lead singer for Hole.
Yeah, and a preschool teacher.
Teacher.
I mean, even when you put her in those clothes and put her in a ponytail.
She still looks whole.
She still's got the cold because she's got no nasal cavity left.
Mm-hmm.
She can't even deliver a line without sounding like she's, in a Benadryl commercial.
True.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well. And I guess the only other thing I could say, too, about the Benadryl commercial is that the advertisers, that there was one good move made, and it was about 3 or 4 episodes back. It was where Dodge, Cars and Trucks, got in on it with their Dodge Charger and the great... RT model that was shown in the show during that car chase in which they used jazz music. Yeah.
What the hell are you? Who scored this show? Because he should be kicked out of the scoring.
I'm thinking my film mentor, Louis Lawless, and the boys from the A-Team in 1980s could have done better than that.
That was just bad choices. You know what? You don't put your personal music choices in a show.
No.
Because they're your personal choices.
No.
The rest of us don't want to hear it. Sorry. We just don't.
And I can't picture Kurt Sutter sitting in his living room grooving around to jazz anyway. So
maybe he does. Maybe it's just part of that whole weird thing. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh.
I don't know. But it's a shame because even his performance was absolutely stellar as I.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The man can act. Well, he studied at Meisner.
I got to say,
the Meisner method.
I just said, there was not one... With the exception to me of Courtney Love, every single acting performance from episode 1 to episode end was flawless.
And the damn kids.
Oh, the kids too.
Yeah.
Even the kids were great.
Yep.